Miss Katebe, how are you doing this morning?
Good morning, thank you. I am okay. Good morning, listeners.
And now getting into the conversation, to the heart of it, we've seen two different sides of this particular conversation, but from the Oasis Forum, from your standpoint, what would you say is the single biggest non-negotiable flaw in Bill number 7 that necessitates the forum's legal challenge?
Okay, thank you. So from the Oasis Forum point of view, we still consider Bill 7 now and void because we are riding on the Constitution Court ruling, which instructed government to withdraw the Bill number 7 completely and reinitiate the process. The reason is that the process was not initiated by the people, and that is what the Constitution Court instructed, that the initiation of the Constitution amendment process must come from the people. And there should be a tangible and visible process of broad-based consultation to support legitimate amendments to the Constitution. And we expected after that judgment the government to withdraw completely, not to defer, but to withdraw the Bill 7 and restart afresh. We are ready as Oasis Forum to support the reform process, but we are not ready to sanitize the process that is flawed and that has a judgment from the Court that is against it.
Now, your primary concern, like you've mentioned, is the process. How do you propose the government must rectify it now without abandoning the work that's already done? We did have a technical committee that's gone around and they got submissions, and so all of that did necessitate the investment of funds, of time, but then what can they do without abandoning what they've already done so far?
No, we cannot say they should not abandon what they have done so far, because if the ruling is that withdraw, then we must withdraw, because if we are talking about not abandoning and that government did not find it comfortable for them to withdraw, then all of us, for example, if I'm sentenced for 5 years, for example, and I look at the conditions are not okay in Chimbwekaina, I will say, let me just save 2 years because the conditions here are not comfortable. So government on Bill 7 was sentenced to withdraw. That was the sentence. Withdraw the Bill 7 completely and initiate the process that will be started by the people.
Okay.
So we cannot say let's just sanitize what is already sitting there. No. What is sitting there is now and void.
Okay, so why did the Oasis Forum not apply to join the consortium of CSOs, but also chose a path of direct opposition instead?
Come again?
So the question is, the Oasis Forum decided to be a force on its own and not join hands with a consortium of CSOs. So the question is, why did you decide to take this route? And also, why did you not apply to join the consortium of CSOs?
For Oasis Forum, if you talk about the consortium of CSOs, I really would not understand what that means, because just NGOCC as a non-governmental gender organizations coordinating council, we have members, we have 118 members of civil society organizations, including the church-based and community-based organizations. So it's already a consortium of a number of NGOCC, or a number of organizations. Like, for example, in NGOCC, we have Zambia National Women's Lobby, we have Women for Change, we have YWCA, we have Young Women in Action, we have the Girls Brigade, we have a number, imagine up to 118. Apart from that, we have the Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia. The Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia, it's a number of churches in it. We have the Law Association of Zambia. We have the Conference for Catholic Bishops. Zambia Conference for Catholic Bishops. It's a huge institution on its own. So in referring to a consortium of NGOs, I think I've mentioned to you how many just NGOs are within NGOCC that constitutes the consortium that you want to refer to.
Okay, also a question to follow up. Why is the Oasis Forum perceived by some as only becoming active and vocal when the Constitution is under review?
Come again? It's a bit more.
Okay, so the question is some concerns by some who are perceiving the Oasis Forum as only becoming vocal when the Constitution is now under review. So what would you say about that?
No, we started engaging a long time ago. And when we looked at government jumping the ruling, that is when we decided to come in full time. We've been engaging government. We've been engaging even as a NGOCC, as an independent body. But when we saw that government was still adamant on jumping the ruling, jumping the judgment from the Concord, that's when we thought then that we can engage in the manner that we have engaged. Otherwise, we've been engaging. And when you look at Oasis Forum is a big institution that does not rise anyhow. When we have smaller issues, as individual organizations, we can tackle this. When you see Oasis Forum rise up as Oasis Forum to undertake or to confront a problem, then just know it's a big problem.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Well, still on the Oasis Forum, you did recently meet with President Hichilema. Why did those dialogue meetings fail to resolve the core constitutional concerns? What exactly could have led to the breakdown in the conversation?
That one, I think, I'm sure you've seen the speed at which government is moving this process all the way to Parliament. After meeting us, I will first talk about this before I give you the reason why. After meeting us, the following day, the government was, after a day, the government was meeting the other group that is said to be pro-government's decision. And then after a day, government is already in Parliament and described to you the speed at which government is moving on this issue. The reason why we failed to agree is that government was adamant on its position that Oasis Forum needed to sanitize the now and void Bill 7. And also, Oasis Forum was also adamant on the position that the ruling of the court is that we withdraw that bill and then initiate a new process. So I'm sure you see the adamance on both sides. Government was quick to take this bill to Parliament, back to Parliament, and we were saying this bill cannot go to Parliament because we are not supposed to sanitize it. Instead, we are supposed to withdraw it and then begin a new process. So both parties were adamant on their positions.
And now, looking at how so far we do have, I would say to some extent, this particular division, what would you say, especially when it comes to how a number of people are saying that the Oasis Forum's current stance is being backed by opposition party leaders, therefore jeopardizing its status as a non-partisan civil society body?
That is always what political parties do. For example, the time that we were against Bill 10, PF thought we were part of the opposition, which was the UPND then. Now that we are against Bill 7, the ruling party thinks we are on the other side. When you see us in the same place together with the opposition, it's because the opposition are also fighting the same cause. We are also fighting the same cause. Our institution will never be partisan because we represent a different community and not political parties.
Okay, and also to back your actions or also get the message across, there's been several actions that you've taken as a forum, one of which was a prayer rally as a form of protest. Why did the forum choose this direction, and also what was the intended political message of this particular route?
Sorry, you were breaking.
Okay. Maybe so you can repeat your question. It seems the network is not on our side. You couldn't quite hear it. You're breaking.
Yes, please.
Okay, so the question was in regards to the relaying of the message that you are trying to get across. Now, this is to communicate with the government of the day and also the people. What you decided to do was to hold a prayer rally as a form of protest. Some people have a split in opinion in regards to this particular action. So as Oasis Forum, why did you choose a prayer rally as compared to any other form of protest, and also what was the intended political message of this action?
Thank you. The political rally came about after we heard the police advice that we needed not to go on the streets because there were other people that were planning to join and vandalize people's property. And because we are doing this for the Zambians, we decided not to go on the streets because we didn't want Zambians to suffer when we are trying to fight for their rights. So we thought the church premises would be better to convene because people were ready to come and attend. And so we decided to change and go to the church building where we held our prayers. And when you look at what happened on that particular day, people were threatened, people were sent messages telling them that there was going to be 450 police officers that were going to beat people up, and people decided not to come. We invited everyone, and I'm sure that place was going to be packed. But we had a successful event, but not as much people as we expected. When we checked, we found that people were actually being inboxed to be told not to attend that prayer rally because it was going to be mad with a lot of beating and people can be injured.
And Madam Beauty, also we would like to find out, is there any provision in Bill number 7 that you believe is genuinely progressive and worth salvaging?
Come again?
The question is in regards to some provisions in Bill number 7. Would you say, are there any provisions that you believe are genuinely progressive and maybe worth salvaging?
I'm sorry, you are breaking. Kindly come again and a bit slower.
Okay, so the question is in regards to the matter at hand, which is around Bill 7. Would you say there are any provisions within this particular bill that you believe are genuinely progressive and worth salvaging?
Unfortunately, we have lost Madam Beauty on that. It seems like we're having some technical challenges with the network. But remember, you too can be part of this conversation by sending us a message. You can do so either on 0961-690-487 or on 0979-192-485. Those are the numbers you can send us a message on as we try to get Madam Beauty Katebe on. This is Voice of the People, where we'd like to hear from you, hear your opinions, your thoughts on the matter that is at hand at the moment. And we do seem to have Madam Beauty back on air. Hello?
You went faint completely. You faded out.
Okay.
The voice faded out.
But can
not hear you.
Can you hear us clearly now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam Beauty. So the question before we had that technical difficulty was in regards to some provisions under Bill number 7. Are there any provisions within the bill that you believe are genuinely progressive and worth salvaging?
Yes. I think there are a number of clauses that are very, very progressive. And even as a Oasis Forum, we know that some bills, some clauses there are very, very progressive.
And now still continuing though, we have seen that there is a letter, a strongly worded letter that was sent to President Hakainde Hichilema that's accusing him of fueling national divisions and mishandling the ongoing constitutional amendment process. Now this letter was addressed to State House and was signed by Citizens First President Harry Kalaba, but also Socialist Party President Fred Membe. And they are writing as concerned citizens and saying not as adversaries, but insist that the President's public remarks, especially the recent ones, and even political posture threaten the country's peace and unity. Are you also in agreement with their particular stance on that, or possibly are things being misconstrued?
I normally, in platforms like this, I keep repeating in all media houses that I go, I fail to speak on people's views because it's not my view, it's not Oasis Forum's view, and it's not NGOCC's view. When I speak on behalf of NGOCC, I speak on behalf of Oasis Forum. And when I come to the media, I come to the media with the agreed position of the institution. So speaking on whether what the other colleagues of ours have written is correct or not, I will not be in a position to comment on that. If they strongly feel that that is how it is, I respect their view. Thank you.
Well noted, for sure. And just touching a little bit lightly on what they did say, they also said that the State House stance at the moment seems to be quite hostile towards the Oasis Forum. And now, do you believe, especially from what you've said, how some people were unable to even attend the prayer rally that was had, and that was on Friday, due to messages that they were getting within their inbox? Would you say, as a collective, that the Oasis Forum does feel politically targeted, possibly?
When we met the president, I think I would be frank, the meeting was fair, free. We aired our views, not in an intimidated way. At some point, we could even go beyond what was expected, and we could see that emotions on the left side of the president were rising. But the only day that we felt that we were not treated equally is the following day, when the other group was hosted and they were given the audience of different audience that we were given. They were aired the whole time that they were there. In the meantime, our meeting was only given 5 minutes of air. So that was a little bias. If I can be allowed to speak to the President of the Republic of Zambia, that was bias. We are all Zambians. He could have left us also to be heard by the people of Zambia and to hear what we wanted to hear and to communicate the people of Zambia. The only position that was allowed to be communicated before the camera was those of that held a position of supporting the government, which is a bit unfair because we are both Zambians, both groups are Zambians, and we wanted to be treated the same way the other group was treated.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Now also, what's been surrounding these amendments or the proposed amendments to Bill number 7 or the Constitution in general have had different concerns from members of the public, stakeholders, and some CSOs. What would you say are the dangers of pushing through constitutional amendments, especially that was so close to the 2026 general elections?
I didn't get the first
Okay, so the question is in regards to having a constitution amended so closely to the general elections. What would you say, what would you highlight to be some of the dangers of pushing through a constitutional amendment so close to the general election, especially that we're headed towards an election year as well?
Actually, that was one of our concerns, that we should have delinked the amendment from the 2026 election timelines. The reason is that the constitutional reforms must not focus on elections, but instead it should have focused on strengthening the democratic institutions. And of course, we wanted it to touch on the expansion of the Bill of Rights, not treating it as a quick fix to the elections. I think this is where, when we talk about the speed at which government is moving, it is showing all of us as Zambians that it is actually a quick fix to electoral process, to the electoral process, which is very, very sad.
Okay, and also pre-linked to that, what would you say would be the long-term risk to the Zambian government system, or rather the governance?
The timeline for the technical committee was to meet Parliament before they postpone CMDA, and they are so much in a hurry. And I'm sure once this is done, you will hear that the Parliament has postponed CMDA. So all these timelines being tied to the elections is quite challenging, is quite scary, and that is the reason why government has decided not to withdraw Bill 7, because it's specifically and very clean and clear that it's tied to the elections of 2026. Quite strange, quite scary. And people must look into that critically and see where government is trying to drive to.
Thank you so much for that. What would you also say? What are your thoughts? Should we say the current constitutional process is allowed to proceed without a wide consensus? What would you say would be the long-term risks to Zambia's governance?
To the Zambian governance is that we are setting a precedent of doing things without following the law. And if government is going to go ahead and do that, we will have another government that will come and set this and cite this as a precedent, that you left the government of Mr. Ichilema to carry on a process without following the court judgment, without following the process, so we are setting a very bad precedent for the governance of this country. Very, very bad precedents.
And still continuing right here on Voice of the People. Remember, you can send in your messages. That's either on 0979-192-485 or on 0961-690-487. With us, we do have the chairperson of the Oasis Forum, that is Madam Beauty Katebe, who's a prominent figure in the Zambian civil society. And now, continuing with you, Madam Katebe, for the public, especially who feel that maybe possibly the government is rushing this constitutional process, how exactly can they take part? How can they be part of the conversation to have their voice heard?
We are still now going back to re-strategize, because this bill is already in Parliament. We are now trying to see if we can talk to the members of Parliament. As they vote, they should take the aspirations and interests of the people that took them to Parliament instead of taking their own interests there. And in fact, with the rumor that some of the opposition members have been paid, it is very clear that this might go in the favor of government. But if I were one of the members of Parliament and I'm given the money, which is taxpayers' money, I would consume that money if they forced it on me and still vote otherwise, because I'm not voting for UPND. I'm voting because the people of Zambia will have this document for a long time, which is going to govern them. So to the members of Parliament, please vote in the manner that your people that sent you to Parliament would love you to vote like.
And now looking at the future going ahead, because we have heard, because of this particular Bill 7, we've seen how multiple times they've brought up the fact that the constitutional amendment process has happened multiple times before an election year even. And so now going forward, what safeguards can be put in place to ensure that any future constitutional amendment processes should be entirely depoliticized?
Hello, you're breaking now.
Okay, I'll repeat my question once again. So I'm saying, what specific safeguards can be put in place to ensure that any future constitutional amendment process is entirely depoliticized, rather?
Okay, I think safeguards are already there. It's only that when people are in power, like Chiluba said, that this seat is sweet. And we begin to believe what President Chiluba said, may his soul rest in peace. You find that even people that we trusted, like the government of UPND, we trusted that they were going to do a lot of good things because they went through a lot of challenges before they became. And to find that the things that the government of UPND, when they were in the opposition, opposed, and now becomes the things that they are advancing and wanting to do. It's quite strange. So safeguards, legal safeguards are already there, but there is just abuse. That's what I can say. When people are in power, they tend to abuse the power and do wrong things. Because even taking the Bill 7, I'm not even calling it taking it back to Parliament, just getting it from their shelves there, because it was not withdrawn. It was deferred. Getting it back on the floor of the House is abuse of power with impunity, especially when you look at even it not being discussed in cabinet, because it was just the report was received like today. The following day, it was already talking to the resuming of the Bill 7 on the floor of the House, meaning it's just a predetermined outcome that we are going to see at the end of the day.
Thank you so much.
It's abuse of power, nothing to do with there are no safeguards. Safeguards are there because we have a constitution that even made the one court to rule against the government, because it was following the constitution that we already have. For them at the Concord to indicate that the bill be withdrawn completely and the process be initiated by the people, because we are the ones that are supposed to frame the terms of reference. You wonder where the government is getting all the energy and impunity to do what they are doing.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam Beauty, for that. Now, the Oasis Forum's stance has been projected, or rather reflects trying to protect the integrity of the Constitution. But should the Constitutional Court reject your petition, what is the Forum's next course of action?
It seems like we have lost, unfortunately, due to poor network connection. But still, though, even as we get to wrap up Voice of the People, as we try to get a hold of Madam Beauty once again, do remember that you can still send in your messages about the conversation. That is either on 0979 192 485 or on 0961 690 487. And we are touching on a number of issues. And right now, we are hearing from the other side of the river, if I should say. And as we did get to listen to Mr. Solomon Ngoma earlier on Monday, who actually is part of the consortium of CSOs who are in support of Bill 7, quite contrary to Oasis.
Yes, so to just listen to what's going on, or rather get a very concrete answer from the Oasis Forum chairperson, Madam Beauty Katebe, who has stood by their decision and also choice of action. We do have her back on the line. Madam Beauty, good morning.
Good morning once again.
We do apologize for that technical glitch. Now, as we near the end of our conversation today, the question before we had the technical glitch was in regards to the Oasis Forum's actions, which could reflect trying to protect the integrity of the Constitution. So if or should the Constitution Court reject your petition, what is the Forum's next course of action?
Come again?
Okay, so we are... Hello?
Yes, I'm able to hear you.
So my question was in regards to the protection of the integrity of our constitution, and this is what the Oasis Forum has been trying to push and the message that you've been trying to get across. So Madam Beauty, should or if the Constitutional Court were to reject your petition, what is the forum's next course of action?
Actually, the petition was rejected, was thrown out. What is remaining in court is the main case to be heard. Otherwise, the petition to stop all this, because we petitioned that this can be stopped as the court is about to hear our case. But the court rejected the petition. It was thrown out, and then that is why you've seen government has proceeded in what they are doing. Otherwise, the main case still remains in court.
Okay, and also, what are your sentiments towards the comments that Bishop Victor Kalesha had uttered a few days ago?
Okay, that was unfortunate. If he was referring to the Catholic bishops, very, very unfortunate, because even Catholic bishops do not come from heaven; they come from families. So if I don't have children, my young sister has children, those are my children. I cannot do anything to harm them. Apart from that, the Catholic bishops have a huge following in their parishes. All those are their children. They cannot do anything to harm their followers in those parishes. So those were very, very unfortunate sentiments and quite overzealous, trying to impress the president. I think that was wrong.
And also, in conclusion, a lot of people might not understand the impact of protecting, or rather the strength that is in protecting the Constitution as it governs us as a people. What would you like to say to the people of Zambia as the biggest truth that you'd like for them to know and also internalize about the role that they play in terms of protecting the Constitution?
Okay. I think to the people of Zambia out there, when you read the Constitution, firstly, it tells you in the preamble that it is our document. We give that document to ourselves, meaning therefore that we should participate at each and every level when the Constitution is being touched. It is our responsibility to commit to the promotion of constitutionalism, to the rule of law and good governance, which is going to benefit all of us. So let us pay attention. I've seen, Shekinah, some people who are saying, even if they change, even if they amend, it will not affect me because I'll be seated in my house. It will affect all of us. It will affect all of us because that is the law of the land. That is the supreme law of the land. Whatever it is that we do is actually derived from the law, supreme law of the land. So we should not take it casually. We should know that once this has in it, embedded in it wrong things, it will haunt us until another person comes and wants to change that. So whatever will sit in this document will sit in this document not for the President of the Republic of Zambia, but for the citizens of Zambia, including the President.
Thank you so much, Madam Beauty, for joining us this morning and also for shedding more light on issues that had questions around them.